Go through with you guys the top questions that I get asked on YouTube, across Instagram, TikTok, all social media platforms. Some of the most common ones. All right, I screenshot them. I'm going to show you. I'm going to answer them. And make sure you guys go down the comment section and let me know if you can hear me. All right, so that's always the first thing we're going to do here. So that way I know that you guys can hear me and we can get this stuff going. All right, so make sure you guys go down below, comment that good stuff. But other than that, looks like we could jump into it. All right, so let's go ahead and let's start it. These are going to be the top questions, and if you guys got questions, throw it down in the comment section. I'll try my best to get to them towards the end. All right, so let's go ahead. First question up was, how does one win consistently? All right, they put on there, how do win consistently, but how does one win consistently? To win consistently, what you need to do is you need to be able to have the right strategies in place. You got to be able to have the right bankroll management in place, and you have to be consistent. All right, it comes down to that. It sounds like it's very simple, but those three things are literally almost impossible for the majority of sports bettors. All right, the consistency, they don't do it every single day because a lot of people just want to do it when they have time. All right, or when there's a big event coming. So if they have like a big event rolling or something like that, you know, the Super Bowl, the finals, the home run derby, something like that, people want to just wait, and then they end up betting that type of stuff. But you got to be able to stay consistent. You got to do this throughout the long term, every single day, through birthdays, holidays, all that good stuff. Now the strategy portion, some might never get that down. All right, I'll just be honest with you. Some might never get the strategy down. They might try to work through their strategies that they've came up with themselves, and sometimes it'll probably just never work out. All right, because they just don't put the right information together and put all that directly together. So what happens there is that they end up just getting frustrated, and then they just end up quitting. All right, that's exactly what happens. That's why people don't, get to that level of staying consistent and winning consistently, because the strategy they got doesn't win consistently. So how are you going to win consistently if your strategy that you have and that you're implementing doesn't work, doesn't happen? All right. So you got to understand, you got to have those three things in place. If you have those three things in place, then you can win consistently. And even winning consistently doesn't mean you're going to win every single month. All right, you might have months where you lose. That's going to happen. All right, I've showed you guys another video where you could lose 2 months out of the year and you still make a huge profit at the end of the year. All right, I don't think I've ever had a whole entire year where I've won all 12 months. All right, there has been a losing month in every year. All right, it just happens. At the highest level, that happens. All right, let's get to the next one. All right, I'll kind of zoom in here for you guys a little bit. You could kind of see what that says. All right, it says, I recently found out about your channel and it helped me manage my bankroll, but there is one question that I've got. Obviously, I'm a new sports bettor and was wondering how many bets should I do, like 1 or 2, or should I limit myself to just 1? Now, this is what lines up with your strategy. All right, the strategy that you're implementing, that you're doing, should dictate the amount of bets that you're going to place. All right, because if you go through your strategy on any given day and your strategy pops out 5 plays, well, go play 5 plays. That's the way it's going to go. I always tell my guys that are like part of the coaching program and everything like that, you can't really limit yourself on the amount of plays that you're going to do, because you don't know which ones are going to win, which ones are going to lose. You really don't know that. All right. So when you have a strategy in place, you have to go whatever the strategy pops out. If you start picking and choosing, then you're going to set yourself up for failure, because like I said, you don't know what plays are going to win, what plays are going to lose. You have no idea of knowing that. All right. Now, if you don't have a strategy in place, what I suggest is you just do 1 pick a day. All right. 1 play. You find 1 play and you roll with that, and that's it. All right. That's somewhat of a strategy in its own. But if you don't have a strategy to find those plays, I suggest you limit it all the way down to 1 play. All right, those are the 2 different spectrums that you can look at there. If you have a strategy, you don't have to limit yourself, because whatever that strategy pops out, that's what you're going to play. But if you don't have a strategy that's in place and you're just playing to play, I suggest 1 play. That's it. All right, let's get to the next question. What do you mean by manipulating lines? All right, so manipulating lines. This is something that a lot of people don't understand, and the reasoning because there's different words for it. All right, you'll see in the sports book it says alternates. That's the same thing as manipulating a line. If you look at an alternate play, alternate total, an alternate spread, you're manipulating the line from what it is that, everybody's playing it at. So when, you ask, like, what does it mean? That's what it means. Now, why do you do it? You do it because you don't want to take the number that the sportsbook's going to give you, and the sportsbook gives it to everybody else. All right? You want to manipulate that line to go with what your strategy, implements. All right? What you think that line should be is what you should be playing, not what the sportsbook is telling you to play. All right? Now, it does cost money. Sometimes it does cost money. Sometimes you could be on the opposite side and you could have plus money. For example, in a baseball game, the over-under could be 7.5, but your strategy says that, maybe it's 9.5. You go and bet 9.5, that'll be like plus 170, plus 180. All right? Or it could be the opposite. There could be a game in MLB that the total is 8.5, but your strategy says that, it's 7.5, all right? Or 6.5. So you got to buy all the way down. That is what manipulating the lines is, and that's why you use them. You use them so that way you could give yourself the control rather than the sportsbook just giving you whatever number they want you to bet and forcing you to just make a decision. All right? Because when that happens, you're going to lose most of the time. That's just the way that it rolls. All right, let's get to the next question. How much money in capital to start making $100 a day? I just want to say, with a lot of the guys that comment, you guys got to reread your stuff because it's even hard for me to read it back. All right, but to make $100 a day, as in a bankroll of what a bankroll that you would need, you need at least a $10,000 bankroll. All right, to make $100 a day. All right, on average, $100 a day, because you're not going to make $100 a day for 30 days. It's not going to happen because you're going to lose. You're going to have losing days. So you have to offset those losing days, and you have to average those out over that 30 days. So to make $100 a day, I say comfortably anywhere between that $7,500 to $10K mark. All right, and if you're making if you average out about $100 a day, that averages out to about $3,000 a month. All right, and that's kind of like a base goal for everybody because that's kind of replacing income there. So this is a goal of a lot of people that come across and they ask me this, but like I said, they don't like the answer. The answer is you need to have at least $7,500 to $10,000 bankroll to be able to make $3,000 a month. All right, because you have to understand that if you have a $10,000 bankroll and you make $3,000 in a month, that's a pretty good percentage on ROI of a $10,000 investment. All right, you got to just realize that you're not going to get that anywhere else. So that's the safe capital / bankroll that you need to make about $100 a day, which, like I said, equals out to about $3,000 a month. And putting it that way, like I said, you're not going to make $100 every single day because you're going to have losing days. All right, it needs to be an average. All right, this one's kind of small, but we'll zoom it in here a little bit. Do you think a 3-month strategy is considered officially a good strategy, or should I wait for 6 months or even more? All right, this is a question that I get a lot when it comes to, people are impatient. They hate the answer that I give them for this question. All right, how long am I supposed to track that strategy until it's proven that I can use it? They hate the answer because, you ready? Here's the answer. The answer is at least 2 seasons, which is pretty much 2 years. All right, so you have to understand that because you can be successful with a strategy halfway through a season. And then guess what? If you continuously do it, it comes back on you, and sometimes it could be not profitable by the end of the year. This happens a lot, all right, because I have my team going through strategies constantly, and they'll spit out some, that work for the first half of the year, and then they fade out through the second half of the year, and then over the whole course of the year, it wasn't profitable. Stuff like that happens. So you have to be able to understand that it takes time to develop a good strategy, and it has to prove itself to you over at least 2 seasons. And if it does, then you can roll with it. All right, barring any rule changes and stuff like that in the sport that you're looking at, you should be good after those 2 seasons of it working. It should work again for you for at least 5 years without rule changes or anything like that. And then after about a 5-year mark, you kind of have to revamp it and look it over again. All right, that is just from my experience of working with all the strategies that I have in place for all the sports, all the different sports and stuff like that. Let's get to question number 6. All right, this is another popular question here. All right, if you guys can see, let me zoom it in a little bit. Can I really get to 20K with 5K starting? What about 1K, meaning 1K to 20K? My goal would be to make $100,000 a year, yet keep my job. Is it possible? It is 3% a day wagered or 3% each play. All right, so this comes across this particular question. He's saying kind of that he wants to keep his job a bit, but I get a lot of where I want to quit my job. All right. And to be able to quit your job, that's a whole nother level. All right. You need to understand it's a whole nother level. To be able to quit your job, you need to be able to perfected the art of sports betting, because now you're going to do this for a living. Your life is going to depend on it. So if you didn't perfect it, as in strategies, the mindset, the bankroll, if you didn't perfect all of those and have that perfected, you're not going to last. You can't do this for a living. All right. But what he's trying to say is doing it, making money on the side, and eventually maybe probably making it his full-time, gig or whatnot. Now, taking 1,000 and making 20,000 out of it, it is possible, but it's going to take a whole lot of compounding and, again, discipline, consistency. You have to have the right strategy, of course. You have to be winning, because if you're winning, you have to be able to compound that stuff every 2 weeks to be able to build that up from 1,000. Now, from 5,000, still, it's the same thing. You're still going to need to compound. You're going to need to, raise your unit size every maybe not 2 weeks, maybe a month. You could get away with doing it every month, because now you're trying to get 4 times your money rather than 20 times your money. But it's definitely possible. Now, to make $100,000 a year, you're not making that with $1,000 or $5,000 as a bankroll. You're not making that with $20,000 as a bankroll. All right? Not happening. You need at least a $50K bankroll to make $100,000 a year from sports betting. All right? If not a $100,000 bankroll to make that amount of money. That is where you get super serious, and it becomes, like I said, almost where your life depends on it. All right. Now, somebody that has $50,000, $100,000 as a bankroll is going to take that and look at it like it is a job, like it is their job, it is their business. That's what it comes down to. All right. To be able to quit your job, to be able to do this full time, you have to not only master all those that I've mentioned to you, you have to also be able to have the capital to back that, which is, like I said, 50 to 100,000, and you need to be able to have seen that what you're doing works for a couple years before you even think about quitting your job. It has to replace the income that you get from your job consistently for a year or two. And if it does, you're more than, you could go quit your job easily. If for 2 years you're pulling the same amount of money you're making at a job, put it this way, you've been making double pretty much for 2 years, you could be able to quit your job at that point, all right, and do this full time. But it takes a lot. There's only 1% of people out there that are going to be able to do this as their job, all right? And another thing to mention is doing it as your job, you are going to be capped. You're going to be capped, all right? $100,000 is about pretty much where you're going to get, and that's going to be pretty much it, all right? You can't go really higher than that, because you will get banned. You won't be able to have enough sports betting accounts to be able to keep up to try to make $250,000, $500,000, $1 million a year. It just isn't going to happen. All right, you're not going to be able to do that. If you're betting $10,000 bets, $20,000 bets, you're going to get banned just like that. If they get any winning going on, like consistent winning, you're done. All right, you can't bet like that. You just can't. So doing it full time, 100% possible to quit your job to be able to be a sports bettor. You're going to be capped, so you're only going to make $100,000 to maybe $150,000 in that range. That's about it. That's about to be the highest that you can get. And like I said, only 1% is able to do that. All right. So to be that 1%, you need to be able to master this game and master the mentality behind it before even thinking about quitting your job. All right. Let's get to question number 7 here. Let me zoom this in a little bit too. It says, when can I start pulling money from my bankroll? I'm sure it depends on your personal expenses, but is there a general dollar amount where a bettor can start considering paying themselves monthly or bi-weekly? All right. So to be able to pay yourself, obviously you got to be winning, right? Because you got to be making money. Now, to be able to pay yourself, you have to have a base bankroll. All right, a base bankroll. So what this means is, let's say $20,000. $20,000 is your base bankroll that you decided is going to be your base. Your $20,000 bankroll is what you use, and every month after the month goes, let's say you have $22,000 in your bankroll. Well, you could take that $2,000 out and you could pay yourself. All right. I never say do it bi-weekly, because you don't know if you're going to have a profitable month or not 2 weeks in. You don't really know that. All right. So I always say first of every month, this is when you would pay yourself. All right. And like I said, you have to have a base. Your base, if it's 20,000, whatever you make over that 20,000, you pull out, you pay yourself. All right. If you don't make anything and you lose, obviously you're not going to pay yourself anything, right? If you start with 20,000 and the next month you're down to 18, you're not paying yourself anything. But if you start with 20, you get 22, you take 2 out. Get 25, you take 5 out. You get 30, you could take 10 out. But that's, like I said, that's certain levels of getting to where it gets unrealistic. All right, starting with a $20,000 bankroll, making a 50% return in 1 month. That's not something that's, in the realm of being real. All right, you got to have realistic expectations with this game, or you'll be disappointed your whole entire life. I promise you that. All right. Question number 8. If you are a consistent winner in sports betting using multiple books, how does one manage to not get limited or banned from the books? Now, this is, like I said, you tread lightly when it comes to this level. Now, you're only going to get banned when you're betting a heavy unit size, all right? Or you're arbitrage betting or EV betting and doing stuff like that. You're going to get banned. At lower dollar amounts, you'll get banned from arbitrage and EV stuff, all right? But as for not getting banned just straight betting, really what it comes down to, as long as they don't see no inconsistencies like in your bets and like weird numbers and stuff like that, then you'll be able to get away with all the way up to about a $500 unit size on one sports book. All right? Maybe I would say comfortably 400 is what I would say. You can get up to like 500 is pushing it. All right? But you can get comfortable 400 to where you won't get banned at that sports book. Now, once you get to 500, what I would suggest, you double it, put it on 2 different books. That's 250, 250. You have a $1,000 bankroll, split it up between 4 books, 250, 250, 250, and 250. Your odds are all going to be different, all right? But it is what it is. You got to pay that price. That's what it is to be able to play a higher unit size. It is what it is, all right? There's nothing else you're going to be able to do about that. But that is how you stop yourself from getting banned. Not completely, but keep yourself under the radar a bit, all right? Even if you're betting lower stakes and lower money, if you have 15 sports books and you find 2 that have similar odds, split your bet up between them. It doesn't hurt anything. Just do it just to do it, so that way you don't have to even worry about that stuff. All right? The books, like I said, they look for high bets and consistent winning with very high unit sizes. And arbitrage betting, you put in random certain numbers, weird numbers on a bet. They look for that stuff. They get, they'll ban you for that stuff. I don't know how they calculate that, but it happens. Trust me. All right. Question number 9. Do I just do 2-man parlays? Because South Dakota doesn't allow sports books. All right. This is another one I get all the time as well. All right. People in states where it's not legal, you guys have all got trapped by Prize Picks, Underdog, all that stuff. You guys got trapped because you think those are the only sports books. They're not even really sports books. Those are the only thing that you can actually play. This isn't true. All right, there's offshore sports books that you can get, and you're going to get worse numbers than what everybody else gets. But hey, at least you still get to compete in the realm of what everybody else is doing that's in the sports betting world, rather than forcing 2-team, 3-team, 4-team player prop parlays and stuff like that are never going to win. And it just takes a little bit of research, guys. That's all you have to do. I mean, it doesn't matter. If you're in a state where it's not legal, all you have to do is literally Google what sports books are legal in my state. All these offshore ones will pop up. You'll be able to see all these offshore books. All right. Now, not all of them are credible. So, like I said, you want to kind of go through and see the top 2 maybe and use the top 2. All right. The ones that I know that are credible, BetUS, BetOnline, those ones have always been pretty credible. All right. But that is the sports books that you could use if you don't have access to FanDuel, DraftKings, and it's not legal where you're at. All right. You don't have to force yourself to play all those other things, the player prop parlay platforms and stuff like that, because you're never going to win consistently doing that. You just won't. All right. I hate to burst people's bubbles on that, but you just won't. All right. America has fallen for the 2, 3, 4-team player prop parlay stuff, and it just doesn't work. All right. It doesn't work. You can't do it consistently. So let's get to you guys now. All right. We're going to go ahead and cut that out. Let's see if you guys have any questions that you wanted to pop up. I know right now we're in the middle of the home run derby, but let's see if we got any questions from everybody else. All right, Christian said, if you were to do a parlay just for fun, what percent of the bankroll do you think? 0.25% of a unit? Less. I'm gonna be honest with you, less, because like if I have $1,000 unit size, I'm not gonna put 250 on a parlay. All right, so I would say 0.10%. $1,000 unit size, I'll put $100 maybe on that if you want to do it for fun. Like I said, that has to be, because if you lose that, 0.1% of a unit is nothing. All right, so you don't have to worry about that. What is the minimum odds I should go for if I bet 5%? My bankroll. So here we go. This kind of goes in hand with the strategy. If you have the right strategy in place, the odds really, I mean, I wouldn't bet anything minus 400 and above from that, but it doesn't really, you can't limit yourself, because if you limit yourself now, you know, your strategy could pop out a play it's minus 200, but you don't want to play minus 200, so now you force yourself to play something that's minus 130 and you end up losing. So don't limit yourself really on the odds unless they get too drastic. Another question we got is, do you keep your bankroll in the sports books or in the bank account? So this is a little bit different for both areas here. People that have offshore books, I always tell them, take some money out and put it in your bank account if it starts stacking too much, just in case, because those aren't regulated as in America. So if they decide to just cut, you know, ties with you and lock you out of your account, there's really nothing you could do, because they're not American sports books. So I always suggest taking a little bit out and keeping that in your own bank account. FanDuel, DraftKings, all that stuff, Caesars, BetMGM, it's fine to keep the money in there, all right? Because they can't permanently lock you out and take your money. They just can't do that, all right? And they won't do that. So that's how I suggest that. One question is, are you betting the NBA Summer League? That is a no, all right? So NBA Summer League, spring training baseball, preseason football, none of that stuff. That's not, you know, a lot of people think that there's like, oh, there's soft lines and stuff like that. Nobody can really see what's going to happen in those type of games, because there's no seriousness being put into those type of games. So no, I wager a higher unit size. So my unit size is not going to be something that I put on people not taking the game serious, or, you know, things just not making any sense, pretty much. To those, that stuff makes no sense to me to bet. All right, I'll just be honest. Same thing with all-star games. All-star games make no sense to me to bet. All right. Let's see. Will you get banned/limited if you consistently beat CLV regardless of the unit size? No, you will not. All right. Closing line value is kind of like something that's is put out there as like EV. Same words, like wording of that. All right. They're not going to know if you're beating really the closing line or not consistently. So they focus on how much you're betting. That's what they focus on. And then they focus on arbitrage weird numbers. That's what they focus on to be able to ban you. All right. And they focus on if you're doing that at the same sports book. So many people I have to tell, if they're doing arbitrage betting, like, don't do that. You don't do that at the same sports book. Like, you don't bet live and take one plus money and the other one plus money at the same sports book. You can't do that. You get banned doing that type of stuff. All right. But as for being banned, the unit size is really what sticks to it. If you're betting thousands of dollars a game and you have a consistent strategy that you're using, you're getting banned. All right, you have to be able to split that stuff up. All right, guys. Any good websites to research player props? There's a ton of them out there. To be honest, there's so many that are out there. I mean, I'll give maybe a couple right off the bat. One that's good for player props is called StatMuse. All right, this is a very good one, actually. It's almost like an AI chat GPT type. Very good for you guys to go check that out and have that as a tool to be able to use. You go on there and you can literally type or say whatever you want in the search bar, and it pops up the stats for you. So that's something that's very good. All right, can you get banned for taking the underdog and taking a favored team in a parlay? Not quite sure what you mean there. By taking the underdog and taking the favored team. I mean, you're obviously not going to take both teams on a parlay. So I don't really know what that means. What would one of your good prop strategies for NBA? I obviously ain't going to be able to get into a whole entire strategy here for NBA. I won't be able to get into all that. I actually have videos on that though. If you guys go look on the channel, I have a player prop video for NBA. All right, so you could check that out. Let's see here. During the NBA, NHL, and football off seasons, what do you mainly bet on? WNBA, MLS, MMA, NASCAR, boxing, golf, tennis. So right now is kind of that time where we have, most of the sports are off. Baseball is the only thing going. Me as a sports bettor and doing this at a high level, I always look at this time as my cool down time to like take vacations and do stuff like that. All right, because there's not much going on. It's just baseball. So right now, what I just focus on is straight up baseball and horse racing. Those are the two things that I focus on. Weekends, you got NASCAR, you got UFC. But other than that, I just focus on baseball and horse racing. All right. Yeah, that looks like it for everybody, though. All right. Hopefully, you guys, I was able to get all you guys' questions answered. And like I said, those were the top questions that we went through that I found most consistently throughout the YouTube page. And I wanted to put those up there for you guys so that way you guys could always refer back to this video for any of those type of answers, to those questions if you guys got any questions like that. All right. As always, guys, I'll stay 100 with everybody out there. Always make sure you guys are following all the social media pages, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all that stuff. Make sure you guys are staying up to date on all that stuff with me. But I appreciate everybody tuning in, watching. I appreciate everybody that comments. I appreciate everybody that puts those questions down there because it shows that you're interested and that you want to learn, all right? And it gives me a reason to answer you guys, to help you. All right, but as always, guys, I'm Frank with Linemaker Sports. I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then, I'm out.